Bleach is a series that doesn't need much of an introduction. A part of the Big Three and inspiring many popular series such as Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, Bleach itself played an integral role in helping shape the anime and manga industry as we know it today. Yet this idea is only just now becoming more and more accepted into the larger anime community. For a time, Bleach was more of the outcast in comparison to the other series popular at the same time, even having its identity as part of the Big Three questioned and many overlooking the reasons to why it held that status due to simply misunderstanding story elements, malintent by trying to misrepresent the series itself, or because it was popular to make fun of. For whatever the reason, Bleach was never looked at in the same light as other series that were popular at the same time, such as Naruto or One Piece. That was until more recently with the announcement of the continuation of the anime. It seems like the excitement and love for Bleach has reached a new height never thought possible just a couple years ago. So what saved Bleach and prevented it from just falling by the wayside and only being remembered as a show that came out around the same time as Naruto and One Piece? Well, to uncover what exactly saved Bleach from obscurity, we need to look back at the history of Bleach. Bleach's first chapter was released on August 7th, 2001, but we're not going to focus as much on the manga as we are on the anime, so Bleach's anime started airing on October 5th, 2004, and ran until March 27th, 2012. However, there was still life being breathed into the anime through its English dub, which aired on Toonami for another 2 years, with the last episode of the dub airing on November 2nd, 2014. Speaking of Bleach's dub, it being released on September 8th, 2006, along with Naruto's dub on September 10th, 2005, and One Piece's dub on September 18th, 2004, all later airing on Toonami, helped contribute to the title these three series will be renowned as, the Big Three. Of course, this is also due to their immense popularity in Japan as well, and later their overall worldwide recognition, but at the time, it most definitely helped that there was a limited quantity of animes being released to an English market. These three were able to capitalize on that and made them each all the more successful. But if Bleach was so successful and part of this prestigious Big Three, why did its anime get cancelled? And why was its title as part of the Big Three always challenged by people in the anime community? Well, let's start by understanding why its anime first ended. Depending on what source you pull from and or who you ask, you'll get a couple different responses to the question, why did Bleach's anime end? From saying that the anime had low ratings according to CBR to people on Reddit just saying it was because of a loss of interest in Bleach and the anime not being able to make returns, this guy got a little close but didn't really specify that as the reason. He was just correcting what OP said about it ending at a weird time. To even this guy just saying that the manga sucks and no one would want to animate it because it's not popular or good anymore. As you can see, a lot of the speculation around why it ended mainly revolves around Bleach just fell off, which these ideas tie into something we'll be talking about a little later. But Bleach's anime ended because what else could they animate? The 1,000-Year Blood War arc started in February of 2012, otherwise known as Chapter 480. The episode covering the ending of the Fullbringer arc, the previous arc, otherwise known as Chapter 479, aired in the following month in March of 2012. So with that, there were only 3 to 4 chapters out at the time, and Bleach's anime covered roughly 3 chapters an episode. Realistically, they only had about 1 episode's worth of content before they were out of canon material. So they decided to halt their production rather than create a filler arc that would have to last at least a year and a half to give the manga enough wiggle room before they catch up again. There's a video by DBZ Imran that goes more into detail about why the anime ended and discredits a lot of the reasons we were looking at earlier. So I really recommend checking it out if you're interested in a full breakdown of why they put the anime on hiatus. Moving on, the reason I stated previously that there simply was not enough material might have held true for the first couple years, but what about after it ended? Bleach ended in 2016, so they wouldn't have to worry about running out of canon material since it literally ended. That's where the reasoning becomes a bit more muddled and not as obvious. Since Bleach wasn't cancelled, that meant it was more likely to come back at some point. So while it had that going for it, it still wasn't being animated. Taking a look at Studio Period, the animation studio behind Bleach's anime, you can kinda just assume that maybe they didn't even have the people to work on it. When you have other big name productions such as Boruto, Kingdom, Tokyo Ghoul, Black Clover being worked on around the same time, it would be a bit difficult to find the staff to work on it. For example, Noriyuki Abe, the one who is credited with being the director of the original Bleach anime, was working on Divine Gate around the time Bleach's manga ended, and then Boruto the following year. Plus the fact that months usually go into pre-production of an anime season, plus contractual obligations to projects well in advance before those projects are even scheduled to be worked on. Look at what happened to Attack on Titan. They changed studios from WIT to MAPPA between seasons 3 and 4. Putting aside the speculation as to why WIT couldn't work on it, going based on what they said, they asked dozens of studios and some had to turn it down due to the fact that, well, they were already busy with something. Regardless, I'm not going to get into how anime production works or anything like that. I'm just trying to explain possibly why the anime didn't return sooner. But nonetheless, the anime seemingly wasn't returning anytime soon, which caused people to speculate as to the reason why. And to many, that reason was because Bleach just wasn't good. Let's now take a look at Bleach's reputation. As seen earlier in the core answer, it didn't have that good of a reputation, and honestly, that answer proves to be the perfect example as to some of the reasons why. The first reason, people confusing opinion with stated fact. The second reason, people just not understanding different elements of the story or the series. And the third, my favorite, just making shit up. All these points are easily explained away, so I'll just slap a quick rebuttal on screen to each of these if you're interested in reading that. Putting that aside, there's also a secret, but not so secret reason as to why people regarded Bleach as the worst of the three, or just generally a bad series that I'm much more interested in talking about. Public opinion. Now, with Bleach, it's hard to exactly pinpoint why it had the perception it did among the anime community, but it just did. It simply wasn't as liked, or maybe more accurately, as popular as its fellow Big Three members, which, because of so, left Bleach in this catch-22 where people think it's bad because it's not popular, but it's not popular because people think it's bad, leading to there being this idea that Bleach is, well, mid, which is then perpetuated by people and even content creators who might not have even seen it, calling it bad and making jokes at its expense. Let me be clear, I'm not saying it's wrong to make jokes or that you can't judge it if you've never seen it. I'm just trying to explain why maybe this idea has been so ingrained into different communities and just the overall common consensus. With that being said, Bleach was just kinda cast into the corner and reared as the ugly stepchild of the Big Three, with that title being questioned and its reputation not improving even after the end of the manga. So what changed? Well, if we look at it, not much. In terms of the series itself, nothing really happened. After the manga concluded, a couple light novels came out, but even so, that didn't magically change people's perception of the series, especially since they were novels. And I can bet that the majority of manga readers don't want to read a 276-page book. After that, there were talks of another series being made by Kubo coming out, which was later revealed to be Burn the Witch, which did probably bring a little bit of attention back to the Bleach IP. The point I'm trying to make is that there wasn't some big reveal or revelation about Bleach that suddenly shot it back into the spotlight and got everyone talking about it. The only thing that really happened was that people's perception of the series began to change. Before we go further in this idea though, I want to look at a couple other things that also contributed in saving Bleach. I think the first thing is that Bleach didn't really need to be saved. It was always geared to come back at some point. Regardless of how people felt about it or what the perception of Bleach was, it made money. And that's the most important thing. As referenced before, there are videos that go more into detail about Bleach's manga sales and so on that completely deconstructs that argument that Bleach didn't sell well and yada yada yada. We're not getting all that here. The point is, Bleach made money, and anything they slapped the Bleach label onto had a good chance of selling. Whether it's because fans felt that supporting it through these avenues would show that the series still had tons of support, or just because it did have tons of support and people are just willing to buy Bleach merch. Regardless of the reason, it didn't matter, as from the company's perspective, it made money. So obviously, they would want to cash in as much as they could. So disregarding Bleach completely wouldn't have been smart business-wise, as that's a huge loss in potential revenue. So Bleach was always going to come back at some point, but to be fair, it might not have come back in the way it is now. Yeah, it seems that it was geared to come back at some point, but when and how is where the discrepancy lies, as before they could have just slapped together an anime and sold it to make a quick buck, still cashing in on the IP, but also maybe not giving the fans exactly what they wanted, which is support for the Bleach series, which is where the two other factors played a big role in showing just how much love and dedication people have for this series. The first factor is K-Lab. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Bleach Brave Souls brought back Bleach. However, its massive success did at least bring attention back to the series and showed how successful games under the Bleach IP can be. But what I primarily want to focus on is something that was added to the game that I feel got the gears for the anime's return in motion, and that was the introduction of the 1000-Year Blood War arc, or manga characters, to the game. This was huge, as at the time there wasn't a lot of Bleach content, let alone content that delved into the manga, so this on its own was a huge deal, and the success that followed soon after the first manga characters were released in-game was so immense that initially K-Lab licensed enough characters for only a couple rounds of manga banners. After they released those first few banners and saw just how successful they were, they licensed even more characters and continued to release more manga banners afterwards. Even now, still seeing tons of success, with the game recently celebrating 65 million global downloads and celebrating its 7th anniversary. I think if it wasn't for the success of Bleach Brave Souls, especially the support given to the manga characters by the community, we probably wouldn't be seeing the anime as soon as we are. And that's the other factor, the community. Circling back to what I was saying earlier about the perception of Bleach beginning to change, that all had to do with the fans' constant outward love and support for the series. The fans of the series played the biggest role in not just bringing it back, but also improving its perception by putting some respect on its name. Like Tekken 101, someone who was reviewing Bleach chapters before the anime even ended, all the way up until the manga finished, and then making discussion videos about Bleach after the chapters were all done. I feel like you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who likes Bleach that wasn't watching his reviews when the manga was still coming out, me included. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I'll just say I remember watching his chapter 675 review in the drive-thru of Taco Bell and not being able to eat my cinnamon twist because I was freaking out about what just happened. Or James Hansen, someone who's been covering Bleach-related news for a long time and is actually really credible when it comes to talking about any upcoming Bleach projects, but also makes interesting Bleach content in general. Who even more recently, at least in terms of the other two creators, DBZ Imran, someone I referenced earlier just because of how well thought out and put together their videos are. Now, there's a ton more YouTube creators who make Bleach content. I'm just referencing these three as examples of the different types of content that help reshape people's views on Bleach. And it's not just limited to them or anyone else on YouTube, but even on Twitter, with tons of fan art you can find on there or in any corner of the internet really. All of it contributed to helping bring Bleach back. So what saved Bleach? You, the person watching this video, the people who watch other Bleach videos, the people who go on Twitter and like all the fan art they see, the people who bought 1 million volumes of the manga in hopes of it making studios more willing to animate the final arc. It all helped. And my hope is that when the anime comes out, Bleach will finally get the respect it deserves and will have no one questioning its place as one of the big three. Who am I kidding? I don't care about all of that. I'm just excited to hear that new rendition of number 1. Hit it! Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, then please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Follow my Twitter if you want to stay up to date with my antics or whatever I got going on. Also, I live stream both on this channel and my Twitch channel pretty frequently, so if you see me live, pop in chat, say hi, I'd love to have you. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the video. I'm just really hyped for the anime's return. I don't have anything else to say. I'm just really excited for all the Bleach stuff we're getting this year. Like, we even got that one shot last year. It's a good time to be a Bleach fan. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you haven't already, watch the anime, read the manga. I'll see you in the next one.